Hey, mamas, welcome back to Life's a Mom. I am so happy you're here. I got a question. I have a few questions for my Dear Nicole series, but this one really stuck out to me. I'm going to read it and, of course, respond. Dear Nicole, I had my baby a few months ago, and I didn't expect motherhood to hit me this hard. I love my baby, but I don't feel like myself at all. Some days I can't stop crying, and other days I feel completely numb. I see other moms bonding, smiling, doing all the things. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to get out of bed and pretend I'm fine. I feel guilty, I feel ashamed, and scared. How do I start pulling myself out of this postpartum depression? Is there even a way out? Your podcast episode talking about how you went on medication really inspired me, but I'm afraid to start medication. Please help from a mama trying to come back to life. Okay. First, I want you to hear this, okay? Nothing is wrong with you, okay? And what you're describing is super real, common, and it's something that countless moms silently go through, and counting me as one of them. And actually, I didn't know I was suffering from postpartum anxiety, which then led into depression. And it's funny because I was posting and smiling because I think I was just trying to push through it, not knowing what I was really going through. But looking back at the photos, I'm like, okay, I see myself and I thought I was happy, but nothing compares to today. And I'm so happy I went through what I had to go through in my whole life since being born to now. And it definitely gave me a different perspective in life. And I'm definitely a completely different person, even more so now, more than ever. And so, I think even the moms, right, who look picture perfect on Instagram, they're suffering too. I don't care how big their smile is or how many times they post or how much they write a long paragraph of how happy they are in their marriage and with their kids and everything is happy-go-lucky. I promise you, it's not always the case. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to tell you because you mentioned you're comparing yourself to other moms. Don't ever compare because no one really talks about their struggles. That's why my podcast is so rare and people love it. Same as my mom group. I'm real. I don't hide shit. I just say my struggles, what I'm going through. And the thing is, a lot of people don't want to show that. They want to show the good life. They want people to see, look, I have this, I have that. Look at me. I'm happy. But sometimes it's just an insecurity. It's a way of compensation. So don't ever compare. And I know, it's easier said than done, especially when you're scrolling, but I promise you, there's so much more underneath that you don't even know and you probably never will know. Um, but postpartum depression, it doesn't mean that you're weak. I used to think that. And it really means that your body, your hormones and your mind, basically your entire identity, it just went through something massive. And it is a big deal, going through birth, carrying a baby, all of that. Because you didn't just give birth to a baby, you really gave birth to a new version of yourself too. And that transition is messy. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. So this is where I want you to start, mama. If you're listening and you're going through this as well, please. I want you to tell one person the truth. I'm not telling you to make a podcast like me and share everything or go on Instagram and write everything you're going through. No, 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 no. And I'm also not telling you to try to make it seem like everything is perfect. But try to find one person that you trust, maybe a friend, a partner, a therapist, your doctor, someone, anyone that you trust. You don't have to give like a whole speech. You can say by and start by saying, I'm having a hard time. Let someone in, because you deserve support, not secrecy. Too many moms struggle with this. They want to make it seem like everything's perfect on Instagram or not even Instagram, just in real life. I'm saying Instagram because you mentioned that in your letter. But I promise you, like, it's really not. Um, I don't care who they are. Believe me. Nothing's perfect. Um, and you will feel like a weight lifted off of your shoulders. I can tell you that. And I want you to try to stop comparing your struggle to someone else's highlight reel because that's really all it is. And I talk about this all the time. We never know who's crying in the shower. They could be crying in the shower in the morning, and then the next 5 minutes, they'll get dolled up and take a picture and post with their family and be like, life is so great. I'm so thankful for this, my children this. But you don't know that they were crying in the shower, or that they're miserable, or that they're maybe even depressed. You don't know. And that's the thing. Like, so many moms look on Instagram, look on the highlight reels and think, wow, that's awesome. But no one talks about their struggles, unfortunately, in this world. Um, it's very rare. But you don't know, who's overwhelmed at 2 a.m., who's smiling in photos but sinking inside. You're not behind and you're just healing. So please just remember that. And if you have to listen to my voice again and put on this podcast and hear this again when you find yourself comparing on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or any platform that you might be looking at, just remember this. And I promise you, this is for everybody. The next thing, I want you to do one tiny thing each day that brings you back to yourself. Not to be productive, but more so to feel alive, whether that's a shower, um, a walk, a coffee outside, a call to a friend. The tiny steps is what counts, and that's what I've learned for myself. And it's just proof that you're still here and how amazing that you are still here. How amazing is it that God created you to be on this earth? And we all do have a purpose. And listen, if you need professional help, that's strength, not failure. Therapy, medication, support groups, these are all tools. They're not labels, and I think moms have that mixed up. But reaching out for help is what strong moms do, so they can show up for themselves and their families. Also, something very important is to give yourself grace. You are in recovery, believe it or not. And they say it takes 2 years to finally feel back like to your normal self. My baby is 6 months old, and I have a 2.5-year-old as well. So I think I also got into depression because like I didn't let my body fully heal. I got pregnant back to back, and to be honest, I prefer that. It might be hard in the beginning, but then it gets easier as they get older and they're so close in age and they play and they're the same sex. At first, I was like, I've always wanted 2 boys and then 2 girls. I've always wanted 4 kids till today. And again, if I get all boys, I'm happy. Shit. Like, I guess I'll be the princess, but I'm so happy to have 2 boys because they have the same toys. They will have the same, they like the same things. And they're already so cute, like watching them play together. Don't get me wrong, it could be difficult. Like, for example, I don't know if you can hear, I am getting over a cold. That's why I didn't really release an episode. I was sick, my little baby was sick, my son was sick, and my husband was sick. So luckily we had a lot of help, but it still sucks being sick. Um, but it's a lot, right? So you need to know that you won't feel like this forever and you're not stuck. And remind yourself that you're healing and slowly, quietly, right? In ways that you probably don't even see yet, but you are. And one day you're going to look back and say, I made it out. And I'm proud of myself. And that's me today. I look back and I cry sometimes because I'm in a good place. And I look back and I say, I never want to be back there again. But I put work in. I had support groups. I had people who supported me, family members, my Sarah, my husband. And it's something that it's hard to explain, but once you're out of it, it's the best feeling in the world. And I promise you, this is not forever. It might feel like it in the moment, but I promise you, it's not forever. It's not a forever thing. I want you to hold on to that, okay, mama? You're not broken, and I'm going to say this 1,000 times over until I turn blue. You're just overwhelmed and healing. And there is a way out. You're already taking the first steps just by even admitting it. And I myself am so proud of you for coming and even writing that out and trying to be better and realizing and admitting what you're going through. And that in itself is big. It's huge. And in a world where everyone wants to make it seem like their life is perfect, when we all know no one's life is perfect, everyone has struggles. It's amazing to see moms come and open up about their struggles in order to help another mom. And that's why I have this podcast, to open that space up, trying to change the narrative. Because even me, having all the help I have, the nanny, the chef, the big house, whatever it is, and I own it. I used to be embarrassed. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to come off as I'm bragging. Like, no, I'm happy. I'm blessed. But it doesn't mean that I don't struggle. And that's the point I always talk about. Like, I still struggle. People struggle. It doesn't matter who you are, how amazing, picture perfect, whatever. Everyone struggles. And believe me, sometimes they're deeper than you can even imagine. So do not compare yourself, mama. Do not even for a second think that you are failing. I think you're stronger than you were yesterday, and you will continue getting stronger. And don't forget that. So if any mom listening is going through something similar, I want you to know my door is always open. You can always send me a DM, email me. It's in my Instagram. I'm here to help. I want to help because I know what it's like to be in a dark place. And it doesn't matter how many people try to help. It's all mentality. It's all how you think. And I speak about this all the time. The way you think affects the way you feel. That's just how it goes. Because whether we are angry, we are sad, we are happy, the world continues to evolve. But the way we think will affect how we feel, which will affect how we act in this world. So just remember that, because sometimes we tend to forget that, and that's something very important. So now I want to actually dive into something a little different. We're going to talk about something that every couple goes through, even the ones who look like they have it all figured out. We're talking about having fun in your marriage again and what it actually looks like to rebuild connection, grow together, and create a partnership that feels exciting, safe, and full of life. Because I'll be honest, Ben and I have always had a great relationship, especially since getting married. We've gotten even closer. But we've always loved each other deeply, but even in a great marriage, life does get heavy. Kids happen, careers grow, stress builds, and suddenly you wake up and realize that you feel more like roommates than soulmates. And if you're there right now, or if you've ever been there, this episode is for you. So, I want to start by saying this because I believe it with my entire heart, and struggling doesn't mean that your marriage is broken. Struggling means that you're human. There were moments, especially after having kids, where Ben and I both felt that shift. Not dramatic, not explosive, just distant. Like life was happening at us, not with us, if that makes sense. We're still a team, but it wasn't that playful, romantic, connected team that we loved being. It was more like, who's picking up Owen? Or, oh, did you send that email? Did you order diapers? Or, I have to work late, babe. Or, I'm exhausted. Or, tomorrow is crazy. Good night, and some of you are probably nodding right now because that rhythm is so easy to fall into. Listen, we love each other, but we weren't having fun together. We weren't flirting. We weren't talking deeply. We weren't prioritizing each other the way we used to. And honestly, we didn't even notice at first. That's how sneaky distance is. It just shows up quietly and makes itself comfortable. Um, and now let's add another layer. Ben and I are both CEOs. We're both building things we believe in. We're both trying to make an impact, and we're both trying to run the household, both trying to be present parents. And that's a lot of pressure, and sometimes we're just doing it in sync. We were both overwhelmed, and instead of meeting in the middle, we were accidentally drifting, and not out of love, but mostly out of exhaustion. But here's something important that we realized. You can't build a life together if you're not communicating about the life you're building. And once we realized that, everything changed. So, the moment that things started changing for us was when we decided to be intentional again. We sat down and we said, okay, we love each other. We want to feel connected. So, how do we make this easier for both of us? So, here are a few things that literally transformed our marriage. The first thing we did, and this advice was actually not given by a therapist, but more so my sister in law. And just so you know, people who go to therapists, I have three therapists. I have a postpartum therapist, a personal therapist, and a marriage therapist. Not because I have problems, but it's always healthy to have someone neutral. Because I've learned that it's better to share with a professional and get professional advice because sometimes you might share something with someone and they're going to be biased or they have ill intentions and they'll give you advice in hopes that things might not work out, and I've learned that. So it's always, I think, even when things are great, we go to a therapist once a week, even if it's a 20-minute call, just to be like checking in and talking about like what's been going on. And sometimes the therapist is like, great, sounds like a great week. See you next week. And some weeks we meet and we talk about a disagreement that we had and trying to work through it. And it teaches us how to communicate better because Ben and I didn't really have the best childhood growing up as it relates to communication. So we're trying to break that and work on that with our children. Um, everybody has certain generational curses that they want to break and be better at. And there's nothing wrong with that, like it's just a lot of people, they'll come from a very old school background and sometimes we realize it's not always the right thing. And it's not about right or wrong, it's more so about what feels good for you. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Let's go into the things that transformed my marriage and hopefully this can probably help you if you like one or two things. But the number one thing that really helped is we shared a Google Calendar. This might sound simple, but it was a game changer. We merged our calendars, we see each other's schedules, we know when the other person has a heavy day. Um, we plan around each other instead of crashing into each other. And it really makes us feel like a team, like we're moving through life together, not separately. And I understand some couples out there might say, oh, I'm personal. I don't want my spouse to know my every move. But it's not about control in this case. It's more so about feeling in unison and, like, sometimes Ben will see my calendar because my personal assistant makes my calendar, so every morning I check my calendar and I'm like, "Oh my god, today I have a back-to-back day or meetings or whatever," and Ben will be like, "Baby, I saw you have a really rough day today, so I'm gonna make you some coffee this morning. Coffee will be ready, blah, 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 blah." And I don't know, for us, it works, and it might not be for every couple, but we love it. It works for us. Um, Second thing is check-ins and pillow talk every night. Sometimes Ben has to work at night and I have to work at night, whether it's making flyers or writing out, things like this, or, meeting with my personal assistant to kind of recap the day. Um, but we always make time for pillow talk, even if it's 10 minutes. So doesn't matter how tired we are, we check in. How are you feeling? What's on your mind? What is something that you need from me? What are we excited about right now? Some nights it's deep. I'm not gonna lie, some nights we get into a really deep conversation, but it gets us closer. And some nights it's silly. Like some nights one of us falls asleep mid-sentence. It's happened before. But the point is we're connecting daily. The third thing is therapy, even when things are good. Like I said, like I'm a big believer that therapy isn't just for a crisis. It's for maintenance, it's for alignment, it's for clarity. Ben and I will hop into a 20-minute session if we need a reset, even if everything is great. Because again, marriage is it's not just emotional, it's strategic. Am I saying that correctly? Strategic? um, but yeah, having someone guide you through this tragedy of partnership is really powerful. There is zero shame in therapy. I feel like old school mentality is like, "Oh, you need to shrink, what's wrong with you?" But no, I think therapy is the best thing ever. And even therapists have therapists. We all need one, and it's someone neutral. Um, but honestly, therapy is one of the reasons we are where we are today. So I am very proud of that. And then bringing the fun back. Let's talk about fun, okay? Because a marriage without fun is basically a business. We made a decision to bring fun back in intentionally, and here's how. Okay, we have many inside jokes and playfulness, like we joke around constantly now. We bring back the silly energy we had when we first started dating. We tease each other, we laugh, we flirt again, even if it's a text. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, it was weird when our therapist gave us homework and they were like, send one flirty text a day to each other. It doesn't matter what time of the day. Now we do it like multiple times a day. Sometimes it could be a little sexy. Sometimes it could be like, playing around. Sometimes it could be flirty, funny. And now it's become like a normal thing. But when we were becoming like this feeling of roommates, it felt unnatural. But our therapist told us to keep doing it no matter how unnatural it felt. And not that it didn't feel natural, like we didn't feel awkward, but it's like we're not used to this, like we were sleep deprived in the beginning, especially with Owen. So that's something that, I'm giving you advice from what we learned in therapy. So that's helped us. Mini dates instead of waiting for a big one. So not every date night needs babysitters and reservations. Sometimes our best dates are really just watching a show with wine after the kids sleep and we kind of get, a little tipsy, or sitting outside with the music on in our pool, and our pool is heated and it has lights, and it was nice getting coffee together. So this is something my therapist wanted me in bed to do, but it's kind of been difficult. We're going to try to get back on this. But that's having coffee together every morning, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes. But like, it's hard with kids. I get that. But, and I realize I do have help, so I'm able to do this. But sometimes because of work, or like I have a meeting I have to run to, or I have a mom walk on the calendar or whatever. But it's important it really starts off your morning. When we did that, it was really fresh breath air. So we're gonna try getting back into that. Going for a walk around the neighborhood, we do that all the time. Making lunch together while the kids nap. We did sushi the other day, and it was really fun because, of course, his sushi came out beautiful and mine came out all crazy. And then when we ate his broke apart. It just got crazy, but small fun is still fun, is the point. Taking interest in each other's worlds. My therapist is a big believer in Gottman, love languages. So we talk about our businesses, our dreams, our ideas. We help each other in our businesses. We talk to each other. We ask questions. We hype each other up. We don't live separate lives anymore. We live two connected lives with individual parts. And that's healthy. And you should have your own passions, but you should also share the journey. And, this one really changed everything. We started being more affectionate again without making it mean something. And I'm not just talking about sex, right? Because I feel like we all have our needs, but it's more than that. It's about throughout the day, little touches, little, flirty smiles, things like that. A hug, a kiss on the forehead, a touch walking past each other, a hand on the leg in the car. These tiny moments build intimacy. Um, and what we learned, and this is the biggest thing that Ben and I realized, you don't just fall in love once, you fall in love over and over if you choose to. Marriage isn't automatic. Connection isn't automatic. I don't care who says otherwise. Fun also isn't automatic. It's built. And you can build it even after you've drifted, even after kids, even after stress, even after feeling like roommates. A couple reconnects the moment they choose curiosity over assumption, playfulness over frustration, teamwork over ego, honesty over silence. We didn't fix our marriage because it was never broken. We just started nurturing it again. It's like a plant, right? When you water the plant will grow. When you don't, it dies. And now we're more in sync than ever. We're honestly as one. Best friends, partners, co-CEOs of our home, our dreams, and our family. And a message for any mom listening: if you are listening right now and your marriage feels heavy, here's what I want to tell you. You're not alone. You're not failing, and it's absolutely possible to get that spark back. Let me tell you something. In my group, I'm hosting an event with my own marriage. She's a sex and marriage therapist. She's hosting a Zoom for all the couples in my group. All the moms are going to bring their husbands when I say couples. And I have about 40. Within the first 10 minutes of posting it, 20 moms signed up. So it shows you that it's something normal, okay? But it's fixable. So start with the small things. Share a calendar, check in at night, schedule the fun. I know that sounds silly, but it's important. Laugh more, be honest, ask for help, even if it's uncomfortable, and get support from a therapist, a coach, or someone that you trust. You deserve a marriage that feels alive. You deserve partnership, not survival mode. You deserve a best friend in your home. Ben and I are proof that you can rebuild, reconnect, and recommit, even in the chaos of parenting, business, and everyday stress. Marriage isn't about perfection, it's about effort, and effort is love. Don't forget that. Sometimes we think like the world is rainbows and butterflies, and we have these pink glasses on, and we think like it's supposed to be pink, Prince Charming and Cinderella, but it's really not the real world. That's why people love Disney so much, because it's not the real world. And people love things that are authentic, things that are different and real. And unfortunately, not everything is perfect. And that's why I talk about it. So remember, you're not the only one struggling. And again, my door is always open. You can always come and talk to me, and I can always recommend my marriage therapist because many moms from my group have actually gone to her since I recommended her, and she's been a lifesaver. And we've learned so much, and we'll continue to learn from her till the day we die. I don't care how perfect our marriage is, or unperfect, or perfectly imperfect it is. Therapy is something so important, and there's never any shame in that. Okay, so please take all that with you and think about it. Talk about it with your partner and see what they think. I want to thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for letting me open up about my relationship and the things that we've worked through. I hope this episode gives you hope, tools, and maybe even a little nudge to bring more fun into your own marriage. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another mama who might need it. And as always, my mamas, take care of you, and I'll meet you back here next week on Life's a Mom. Bye bye.